So do you ever see how Fred the studio dog just lights up when he sees you? He stands at the door patiently, and then you show up, and he starts wagging, and he gets all excited.
It's very bouncy puppy. It's very fun.
He likes you.
And then he comes in and sort of ignores me.
I know.
It's like,
but then halfway through the show, he will crawl up on the couch with you.
Yeah.
I apologize in advance if I cough.
I'm going to be coughing too. I discovered, that no matter what in Minnesota, you think that you might not get the crud that other people have. You're going to get the crud that everybody else has. There's no escaping it. And that's what it is. But I'm wondering, because see, this is the great northern sex cast. If we were like South and this was the great southern sex cast, there'd probably be a whole different things of like warm weather viruses.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But no, there's the stuff. It's cold and there's stuff and we've got it.
Yes, we do. So I am laughing. We have just a couple of just stories I couldn't wait just to tell you, Colleen. Okay. So these are little warm up stories. We'll get into the sex and the sex health and the other stuff here in a minute. But I'd like to give a big shout out to the Mint Hill Police Department in North Carolina. Okay. They made a Facebook post alerting locals to a new scheme saying that drug dealers are scamming customers, and to help the public not be victimized by untrustworthy local dealers, they are willing to weigh them on a certified scale to make sure they got exactly what they were supposed to have got and what they paid for.
I follow. No, I don't like save them, but I know I have friends that follow various police departments. There's like one out in Maine or something that's, well known and all that sort of stuff. And I just, so I'm assuming this might be one that is probably worth following too.
Yeah. I mean, when you get a police chief or a sheriff or an information officer that's got a freaking sense of humor, I think that's a gem. Yeah. Because
so how many people took him up on it?
Doesn't say yet. It just came out.
Oh, okay.
So we'll be watching. We'll be watching the Mint Hill Police Department.
I have yet to see one of those things where folks have not. Someone hasn't taken advantage of it.
We've talked about it here on the show. People call police to say they got ripped off by a drug dealer. And ask them to show up,
or they left their bag somewhere, or
somebody stole their drugs. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you're in Colorado or something, probably a very legitimate, concept, but not yet. It's not in all 50 states yet.
Right.
Soon, I think a couple more elections to take care of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Maybe even not 4-year cycles.
Okay,
and 2 chicken stories, and then I'm going to straighten up.
Do you know there's a little chicken rescue place in Key West, and they have T-shirts, but there are bumper stickers that say "Chickens are safe here," because there's lots of feral chickens. And and it's just just so adorable. I mean, I don't want to take care of them because I'm sure chicken poop stinks, and I don't want to have to deal with the fact that once they're done laying, you have to eat them, and I just don't want to be the one that lops off their head.
No, but no, but can I just tell you, I have always wanted to have a couple of chickens for fresh eggs, because fresh eggs are amazing.
Oh yeah,
they are.
That
amazing.
is one of the reasons I do wander down to the local farmers market.
Yeah, but I just have not been able to work it out yet in my adult life. But maybe someday. We go to Florida for our first chicken story. Karen Morris of Fort Myers claims that she is being discriminated against via the Fair Housing Act because she has been ordered to rehouse her 4 emotional support chickens that she says were prescribed to her for post-traumatic stress disorder. She was supposed to rehouse the chickens within 30 days and pay a $285 fine. But she's still got them. This has been going on for a year, and they're asking now for another $25 for every day that she has a chicken. And
where is she? Is this like an apartment building, or where does it say?
It's in her home
okay.
that she owns, but it's a zoning violation. And here's a quote from Karen. She says, "My psychiatrist provided them a letter to acknowledge that an emotional support animal is beneficial to someone with mental health problems." And she said, "I'm disappointed that these chickens live in my private home that I pay for. And, people that aren't affected by this are so interested in being part of it." She calls them her girls. Mm-hmm. She says, "My girls have changed my life in a positive way, and I'm not removing them."
I'm actually quite. A lot of chickens becoming more popular just for pets and egg laying, and I'm really quite surprised that this hasn't popped up before. Minneapolis, you can have chickens, but they have to be like 25 feet from buildings, and so it's really hard to get them on some of the smaller city blocks.
Yeah,
but I wandered by a house last summer, 2 summers ago, and I just looked down and inside a little fenced, pretty garden. I'm like, chickens.
Yeah,
I'm like, okay.
And you know what? I
just don't see. Really, what? I'd be more concerned about an escaped, 10-foot boa constrictor than I would random chicken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. They need to. Yeah. This is Florida too. They're just feral chickens. Why? They're chickens. It's warm.
Yeah. Okay. Oak Creek, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. We had a package that went that went through Oak. Okay. So the only reason is that we had a customer that ordered a product.
Okay, in Oak
something
Creek?
Something I don't know where they're from because it was supposed to come to my store.
Okay,
we special ordered it. We were going to get it for this person, right? Mm-hmm. 5 weeks, this thing bounced around between Colorado, Madison, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, somewhere in Chicago. Then it finally went to someplace in Iowa. Then it went to St. Paul. Then it went back to like 4 places in Madison. And then it finally ended up Oak Creek. And then finally, it went up 5 weeks. It finally is being returned to center. I reordered it and got it for the customer. It was in delivery hell. I kept getting emails. It was hilarious. There was a whole 2 weeks. And the reason I mentioned Oak Creek is that 1, it went through there several times.
Really?
And 2, it had like a 2-week vacation there. For 2 weeks, it didn't move. It just hung out in Oak Creek, Wisconsin.
And I've been there. And it's really, if I was going to stop, I would have picked Colorado. Definitely before Oak Creek.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Chicken story from Oak Creek, Wisconsin. A 911 caller said there was a man swerving down the road with a bird on his shoulder. And Oak Creek police made an arrest when they pulled him over. I know exactly where this is, near Howell Avenue and Centennial Drive. Mm-hmm. He had a chicken with him. Mm-hmm. The caller said there's this guy behind us driving really reckless. He's got a hawk in his car, but they said, no, it's actually just a chicken. Mm-hmm. And the chicken's name is Teresa. The gentleman, 42-year-old Ernesto Martinez Garnica of Milwaukee, is out on bail. The chicken is safe, was taken by Milwaukee Animal Control. It is being kept safe. Teresa is not up for adoption. Teresa.
Chicken stories, I think people probably click on them about as much as something happened when someone was naked stories.
Why wouldn't
there is something about a chicken.
Yeah.
That regardless of whether you're like, yeah, I'm going to click on that.
Yeah, chickens.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're funny, and I love the way they walk. Mm-hmm. Love watching them walk.
I miss the chickens at the state fair this year at Minnesota.
Oh, you didn't go see them?
They were switching out displays, stuff like that. So it was closed.
Oh,
so we went on a different day because I was bringing my daughter to school, and so the day we went, we just happened to be there when one group of chickens and ducks and stuff were in rabbits were going out, another one was coming in, and so we did not get to hang out and see champion old cock, which is just I am 54 years old. When I see that on a little note that is tucked into a cage, I am going to giggle. I
champion old cock. I mean, every man should aspire to that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and at least several times a year, friends of mine will take photos of it, of them next to it because it's fantastic.
Yeah,
it is. Yeah,
yeah, and they're just fun. So, the chicken thing, I'll be very curious with the, eat local movement and all the things that we're trying to do now. If this doesn't, like you said, loosen up. Like at my lake place, I've got like an acre and there's plenty of room to have, coops, but like
you're not there 24/7, 365.
Right. And they need to be cared for. And so I wouldn't want to abandon chickens and,
Maybe you need like a small, those little tiny campers. You could have like mobile chicken coop and it could just come
just take it with.
Yeah, it could take it with.
Like a chicken. Yeah, great. Japan. Japan is a very interesting place. And I like Japan, actually. There's a lot about it that I like. But they really have some weird stuff every once in a while. Some of the trends and the pop culture that happens there.
Well, I was thinking the Japanese porn. A lot, the anime. There's a whole word for it, of porn is. I remember discovering that, like, I've been doing this for 30 years, like 29 years. I'm like, what is this? Big, tentacle porn and cartoons and the boob. You just like, you think that like Western comic books have unrealistic expectations of female form. It's not just the U.S.
No,
it is worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah. There is a situation over there. There's a ban of clemency on female employees in Japan, and the backsplash is becoming widespread. Apparently, companies are prohibiting women to wear glasses, saying they make female employees seem, quote, cold. Airlines.
Personally, I think the response to that is fuck off.
Well, naughty librarian much. But airlines are saying the ban is for security reasons, while others in beauty and fashion said it doesn't let the workers' makeup be seen properly. And so there's a hashtag glasses ban trending. Oh, and they have also been in the past had a lot of what to wear, what not to wear in the workplace stuff before. There used to be, last March, women rallied against a requirement to wear makeup. And then another online petition went viral demanding a ban on all mandatory dress codes for women. One person was complaining. She's
Wait, let me look at the calendar. This is this century, right?
Yeah.
This is okay. Jesus Christ.
This gal named Yumi Ishikawa launched a position saying that women face health issues for consistently being forced to wear high-heeled shoes. She said she was required to wear heels at her part-time job at a funeral parlor. And
yeah, I mean, even is it the Cannes or whatever film festival? Like they have like a dress code for the women doing that. And I think some of the actresses have said "fuck off."
Yeah,
no, I just this whole policing of women's bodies, is on such a different level than policing men's bodies. I mean, yes, there are some things that suits and ties and stuff like that, but it is a fraction of the rules.
Yeah,
for women. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
All right,
Definitely. But Japan's health minister, a fellow named Takumi Nemoto, said in June that heels were, quote, necessary and appropriate in the workplace. It is socially accepted as something that falls within the realm of being occupationally necessary and appropriate. Seriously?
Seriously. No, yeah. I mean, I don't know what their laws are on discrimination and equal rights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, we haven't even passed it here. I think a new state, I think we might actually get the Equal Rights Amendment coming up soon. There's a state has a full Democratic governor and legislature now, and I think they're like the 35th or 30th state. That might actually pass after about a zillion effing years. But I'm not sure. You see stuff like this, and you're like, no wonder,
Well,
it's not just it's not just a U.S. struggle or a Western struggle. It's worldwide freaking struggle.
Yeah, well, and Japan kind of surprises me because, I mean, this might be profiling in a way, but they have done so much innovation and so much great stuff comes out of Japan. For them to have this still going on is so, it jams my systems to how that is, but it is.
Yeah.
Okay, this is super weird, but I've never heard of this before, and it's not a fetish, but it is a condition. So this guy had this thumb injury, okay, and he was taking a bunch of antibiotics for it. And he said then a couple of years later, he started suffering from depression, brain fog, memory loss, and aggressiveness. Then he got a DUI. And everyone around him, including cops, medical staff, and everybody else, became convinced that he was a secret drinker. But he had denied consuming anything, despite the high BAC that he had when he was arrested. Well, get this. They did a case study on him, and it was indicated he's got this thing called auto brewery syndrome, which is a rare condition known as drunk disease. And it literally can change the microbes in your stomach to where you become an alcohol distillery in your own body.
Yeah. With the amount of, I'm actually surprised that hasn't happened to me with the amount of antibiotics in it, but it can screw up your gut.
Yep.
And then your gut starts turning sugars into booze.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the first one, but it's just like, it is, it's rare, but it happens.
Yeah.
And people just end up with a lot of different, a lot of legal fees trying to prove that they did not. I mean, because they are drunk, but they have no.
Yeah. So and he didn't know. Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting case though. And I guess that they could probably fix it or whatever.
Yeah.
I haven't luckily had to take a lot of antibiotics, but when I got attacked by my sister's cat a couple of years ago, you remember that at all? I have a wicked scar. Wicked. I mean, that thing just chomped down on me. And, I had to go in for injections 3 days in a row to keep myself out of the hospital. And she said, I am going to destroy your gut right now with this stuff. So I had to take all these other things to preserve. And I turned out okay, but it's amazing what kind of that can do to you. It's amazing. Kanye West. So he's gone through a lot of phases. Maybe not unlike some other artists, like Madonna is a renowned reinventor. But now he is moving into his religious phase. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And so in the past, he said he was a sexaholic. He said he found a Playboy when he was 5. That's how a lot of people start out. And became a full-on sexaholic after the passing of his mother like 12 years ago. And he said he was really into sex, but now he's had this hardcore Christian conversion, and
pendulum swinging.
Yeah, and there were times where he said now he feels the need to, and this is where I have a serious problem. People that were working on his album, he said there were times when I was asking people to fast, or times when I was asking people not to have premarital sex while they were working on this. And
do what you do, but you do not get to tell other people what to do. Then again, I mean, not when you change mid things. I mean, he is. I mean, he's his own private company. I suppose you can have the rules, for folks, but if you're interfering with someone's ability to make a living, I'm not sure where that goes. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons. The certain parties stacking courts with judges, so they'll rule certain ways, but.
It's just
because there is still like Catholic probably, but other religious schools that don't like that you're going to get fired if you're female and unmarried and pregnant, stuff like that. There are still colleges that make you sign that you're not going to drink or have premarital sex. I think religious schools and stuff like that, but Kanye isn't a religious institution. He's a single person.
Who's an enterprise.
Who's an enterprise and stuff like that. So I don't think he gets to do that. I
don't know because I'm following everything.
And exactly how would he know?
Well, that gets into some real interesting territory right there. But I will just say this. If you, regardless of what your religious things are, it's not your job as an individual to judge other people and to tell them how to behave. That's up to if you're religious, the God sort of thing. So that I find kind of interesting.
I know that Prince had found there were certain songs that he didn't sing for a while, and then he got back to singing them a little bit and stuff like that. But I don't think he was. He had his life, but he didn't make his the folks around him. I think he may have said maybe cut back on the swearing a bit. But that, that's a semi really, reasonable request. And it's right there in front of you. But I don't think he told folks you can't swear when you're at home and you drop a brick on your foot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's an interesting thing. I suppose that organizations, in what do they call it? At-will employment places, but still, I think that's preposterous. That's just Kelly's opinion. Okay. This is funny.
Okay.
A Texas couple, their combined ages, and they're both alive, is 211 years old.
I saw that they're like the official oldest couple right now. I did not get a chance. I just saw the headline.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping that, they said things like, a cigarette and a glass of whiskey every day, or, it just, when folks that live as long, they always tend to live average lives. You know what I mean? No one's extremely healthy or extremely bad, stuff like that. And I saw the picture of them and they just looked, I'm probably being ageist here, but they looked adorable.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there's a couple other interesting things. He's 106, she's 105. Mm-hmm. And this is really fascinating to me. They met at the University of Texas. Mm-hmm. So they went to college. They got married during the Great Depression. They're celebrating their 80th wedding anniversary. Mm-hmm. So these were college-educated people, a woman at a time when that was, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so they...
In Texas.
Yeah.
If you want to just throw in a shitload of stereotypes to throw out the window here.
Yeah. But they attribute their long marriage to, here it is, living life in moderation and being cordial to one another.
I bet you anything in there is that they rarely took each other for granted.
Yeah.
The entire time and stuff like that. They're just, obviously just knew. But to live that long and to, and that would be tough though, because if they had kids, there's a very good shot they outlived their kids. I mean, think about it.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah, that would be really, that would be the tough thing about being 105 and 106 is that. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I had an aunt, one of my dad's, mom's sisters, and she used to volunteer at a nursing home, and there were a few times when she was the oldest person there.
Oh my gosh, that's.
I really, really, really hope that I have the energy and the longevity of my Aunt Dolly. She was about half my size.
Tiny.
And just a bundle of freaking energy.
Yeah.
It's going through there. And it was just fascinating. Yeah.
My great grandmother lived to be 96 and she was something else. She was off the boat from Germany and she still had the accent, like her whole life she still had an accent, and she was tiny and she chewed tobacco, she smoked, she drank, but in her later years, she lived with my Aunt Louise. So she lived with one of her kids and was sneaking cigarettes with my mom outside. Marianne, you got a cigarette? And they'd go outside. Oh. And I'm just sitting here going, let her smoke, man.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. And obviously it's on their clothes and you have to bring it in the house and stuff like that. But if you want to do it for the stink reason, fine, be crabby about it. But at that point, they're hell. I mean, really, what is going to happen?
Let her do whatever she wants. Mm-hmm. Speaking of breaking chickens' necks, she once murdered a rooster who had tormented my mother when she was a little kid. They had this rooster that just always chased her. And one day,
in other words, that was dinner.
Yeah. Grandma just had enough. And she was all about 5'4" and about 102 pounds.
Well, my mom grew up with chickens in the backyard in Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah.
She remembers, having to, the stump with the two nails and the whack. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. She also, my mother said, went outside and shot a coyote and threw him over the fence for my grandfather to deal with when he got home.
Yep.
Very tough lady.
I did that with a dead rabbit. I did not do that with a coyote.
Yeah, I know. Mm-hmm. I mean, she was a hardy gal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I certainly want the hardiness that's in that runs in part of my family. I don't like the part where the diabetes come and get you.
No, I don't like that either.
Destroys the other stuff. But no. I seem to have. I've got this far without it, so I think I'm okay.
Yeah, very well. So this is kind of interesting. There's. I don't know. I don't know if this is a pendulum or a full circle kind of thing, but there's been scads over the years of articles about women wishing that their partners knew more or cared more or would ask more about what they wanted in bed. So we talk about those kinds of articles all the time. So this other person, her name is Sasha, is what she goes for, and she's a writer, and she said, no, let's talk about what you need to know about your man's manhood. And so she's got this whole series of questions for you to ask, because she's saying it's gone almost to the point where we don't think about the guys anymore. And she said, don't just...
And where? Who?
I know. But
she found herself a niche or something to write about, because I'm like, yeah, really?
Yeah, okay. I know. But there's a couple of points in here that I thought were kind of interesting. Like, it's kind of assumed that they're always going to be able to get off. And so as long as they get off, they're happy. And so she gives 5 important things men really want women to know.
Okay.
Number 1. It, meaning his penis, is sensitive yet robust. So get familiar with it and don't be afraid to try things. 2, don't hold back when applying pressure. Take a firm grip. He can handle it. 3, spend time stimulating all areas so it doesn't get desensitized in places and neglected in others. 4, sexual confidence is an aphrodisiac, even if you have to fake it until you make it give it 110%. 5, this one makes me laugh. Touch it anytime, anywhere, over clothes, under clothes, at home, out and about. Men's tackle is tactile, so touch it as much as possible. Always be well received. Thoughts?
I'm pretty sure if you're strolling through Target and you reach over and grab
your guy's package,
the folks at Target are going to ask you to leave. Okay. That's just how that's going to go.
Well,
it's going through there. Yeah. It's going through there. I mean, most of the stuff is reasonable. The one thing I really despise is that whole 110% shit. No, I'm so over that stupid number. Just 100%.
I found a pet peeve.
No, it's just whenever I read that, my brain, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't work. You can do the same thing, Yeah, give it your all. It's just fine. Yeah.
Okay. No. Very interesting. Okay. Is it clitoris or clitoris?
I usually go for clitoris.
Okay.
Clitoris sounds like a mouthwash or someone's name.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think that was a whole thing in, a couple of movies. I think there's been like middle-aged women saying, like, how is it pronounced or what's going through there. And I think clitoris was, So,
clitoris.
Was it Shirley Valentine? They talked about that? I think so.
Well, Cloris Leachman.
Yeah.
I could never think of her name without...
Yeah.
Okay. Which Cloris? Who does that to a kid? It's not bad. It's not a good thing. Okay. Anyway, nearly all the discussion around this body part has always been about pleasure, but there's been a paper published by Dr. Roy J. Levin of Sheffield University. He published this work called "The Clitoris: An Appraisal of Its Reproductive Function During the Fertile Years," and he says why it is, and overlooked in accounts of female sexual arousal. Long story short, this is pretty interesting. He basically says that it sends signals to the brain that once stimulated trigger the reproductive system. So that, triggers the chain reaction that makes everything else receptive to getting the sperm where it needs to go.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that if there's also been studies that says that when a woman does have an orgasm, the contractions pull the sperm in farther into the body, therefore helping with conception if that's what you want. So
you're less likely to get knocked up with bad sex?
If that worked that way, there would not be that many, there wouldn't be nearly as many unplanned pregnancies.
Or people.
People, yeah. So I was going through there because I know that they like to say that it's only there for pleasure, but pleasure helps, the orgasm, which helps with the contractions, which then again helps with more with conception. Yep. So it is sort of fascinating that someone is studying a female body part just for the just for the pleasure part of it, and it's going through there.
Yeah.
And we know so little. I mean, honestly, we know very when it comes to how sex works. we know almost nothing about women's bodies and a little bit about men's bodies.
Yeah.
How really does that work? And then you have to add in how the brain works with it, because we all know, we've talked about this several times, that the all the parts that make who you are develop at different times.
Yeah.
And so I saw a TED Talk the other day of a woman who looks outwardly female, but she's intersexed. So she looks female, but she also happens to have testicles where her ovary should be and no uterus.
Wow.
Okay. And so it's just how she was doing. And she was I'll have to look up this. I think I sent it to Megan. But the part about it was the fact that intersexed people are like one or two, a little under 2%, which is actually the same amount of redheads there are in the world. So it's not as though it's like 5 people. It's a big chunk of folks. One of us could be intersexed. We don't know because we haven't done genetic testing. There could be something there could be just enough, something that doesn't show anything, hasn't changed anything, but our genes don't match our outward appearance.
Wow.
Yeah. It was
That's
amazing
really
TED Talks and stuff like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow.
So that's how little that we really know about, Yeah, so assuming that, I mean, there's a zillion different skin colors. There's a zillion different hair colors. There's a zillion different things about people. Why would you think there'd only be 2 sexes? I'm pretty sure I sent that TED Talk to Megan.
Wow.
But it was truly a fascinating, it was only about 15 minutes, 18 minutes. Going through there.
TED Talks are great.
It was just a different way of looking at something like that. And what I got out of it, I mean, honestly, was the fact that was the percentage. I mean, if we all got genetically tested, who knows where everyone would line up.
That is so interesting. That is really interesting. Okay.
Let's go through.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to have to look for that one. It's No Nut November. And it's basically, we forgot about it till almost the end of the month, but we haven't talked about this. And if you've forgotten or if you've never heard of it, it's the challenge for men and women across the globe who give up masturbation and sex for 1 month. And nobody really knows how it got started other than it being a personal challenge. Some people think it'll make them stronger, more energetic, but there are contradictory opinions, especially medically, saying it actually could hurt you because you're missing out on endorphins, you're not releasing stress, and all of that sort of thing. But check this out. Harvard just published an 18-year study, Colleen, who found that men who ejaculate at least 21 times a month can reduce the chances of developing prostate cancer by up to 1/3.
Yeah.
Wow.
The using stimulating the prostate, not letting it sit there, is really a great way to stay healthy in men. And so and I had posted a couple of articles. I couldn't sleep, so somehow I ran across a whole bunch of articles about does masturbation help you sleep, and I was going through there. So there's a lot of when they can't, if you can't sleep or if you're masturbating or anything like that, for guys, it's even going to help keep your prostate healthy.
See?
It's a spectacular, masturbation is good for so many things.
Because I know, and I know a bunch of people who basically have had to go through some form of prostate cancer treatment. And given the choice, I think looking back, they'd all wish they would have just yanked it a little more. Okay? So just saying. All right. Well, Christmas isn't terribly far away, much to my...
No, it's such a late Thanksgiving this year and stuff like that.
It's going to hit quick this year.
Although it's easy for me because I have, the folks that know me personally know that I have 2 of the most adorable cats in the world. But there are also adorable cats that destroy many things, including Christmas trees. I tried last year. I just had to pull them out of the cat. They were ripping things apart. So my house... Christmas has become a lot easier for me now because I'm not decorating, and I'm not doing outside this year because I got my house painted. I'm going to go 1 year without wrapping shit around my brand new paint job, maybe and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm going to have I'm just going to go for a very lazy Christmas.
Perfect. Is your daughter coming home from college for Christmas?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. That'll be fun.
Going through there. Yeah, and she's got a long break. She's a freshman, so not a lot of them do J terms. So she's got a pretty long break.
Well, that's good. So, that's very cool. So here we go. Here comes the baby. It's cold outside controversy for the year again.
Someone read
John Legend.
Oh, okay.
John Legend. And
Is that the world's sexiest guy? Was he the guy who was just on People magazine?
I think he was.
Okay.
Think he was. Yep. So he's got an album coming out for Christmas, and it's a deluxe edition. And he's does the duet with Kelly Clarkson.
Oh, okay. I think I saw a headline on this, and I decided, do I click or do I not click? You know what I mean? I'm saying, okay. I think I'm glad I'm not clicked. So let's see what we got here.
Okay. So the song came out originally in 1944. Okay, that's how old this thing is. So we're looking at like 80-year-old song. So one of the lines that Kelly Clarkson sings, "What will my friends think?" The original line was, "The neighbors might think." So they changed it to "What will my friends?" And then Legends. Original line was, "Baby, it's bad out there." And he changed it to, "I think they should rejoice." Clarkson.
You've mentioned only 2 lines right there. And I'm thinking, I am not musical. You do not want to hear me sing.
No, me neither.
Any of this stuff. I bet you anything I could sit down and rewrite this better than from what I'm hearing right now.
Oh, yeah. So another one of the female lines was, "Say what's in this drink." They changed it to, "If I have one more drink." And then they changed, "No cabs to be had out there," to "It's your body and your choice." There's 2 points in the song where Legend offers to call Clarkson a ride home rather than urging her to stay, and tone down some other things like "so glad that you dropped in" rather than "been hoping you'd drop in." Like, what's bad about either of those? I don't understand that. And they changed "been."
I think I know what they're trying to do, but it sounds like they completely and utterly failed.
Well, Dean Martin's daughter, Dina, thinks so. And she said, Dad's version that he did in 1959 is one of the more famous. And she thinks this is absurd. It's a classic song. Piers Morgan kind of had a fit and said, "Yeah, the song trivializes me too." And that Legend writes other lyrics that are not so great. Sharon Osbourne said, "This is ridiculous. It's history. Just let it go." And
I think it would be easier to. There are a lot of songs that I think are like the Police have several songs that are just stalkerific.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of just
Every
stuff
breath
on there.
you take.
Yeah, and then there's the. There's something that always plays on the Yacht Rock channel. The "If You're Only 16" or I don't know. It's like something. Just I'm like, there were some really highly cringy songs that I'm like, it would be fine if they just. There's plenty of it. It's not like these are the only songs.
Yeah. Well,
they honestly make me switch the channel.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, and some of them I just thought was weird. Even years ago, I'm like, seriously?
Well, what's funny is during the Police heyday in the 80s, when they were just in fuego, I watched an interview with them, and Sting said, "People don't get every breath you take." He goes, "This is a song about surveillance and stalking."
Yeah.
Like, he's like, this is not a love song. Yeah. And it was completely lost on everybody. So,
yeah, it is about, it's just like, oh my God. It's just very, very silly.
yeah.
Yeah. I think I could probably rewrite that song. Although I think I talked about this about Christmas time last year, that the guy that Seth something, so, he does all the voiceovers for Stewie, Seth MacFarlane. No, whatever. He has a beautiful voice. He's done singer. Yeah, he did a Christmas album or something like that. And I just went, this is the guy that did all this absolutely raunchy shit. Did this amazing Christmas album. He can sing too, and I'm like, that is. I understand there are people that are just wired for art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But do some people have to have all the art? I mean, I can't draw. I suck at singing. You know what I mean? I have this, my brain can visualize beautiful things, but I need somebody else to make it. You know, for example, like a lot of the graphics and stuff, I have this idea, and then like Sarah crawls into my head and figures it out. And then, you know, or she comes up with something, you know, she knows I'm going to want something that, you know, is going through there. I mean, but I was like, I wish I could do some of that stuff, or at least be able to sing and not have my, you know, now I realize I'm asthmatic, which is why I have no breath control, but what the hell? You know, it took me.
I just have a shitty voice. I cannot sing. It's weird. I do professional voice work, but I can't sing.
Yeah. I mean, I can nail a commercial the first time I do it when I used to do all that sort of stuff. It's no problem. I actually do need to do some of my messages on my store's phones and stuff like that, you know, holidays and all that sort of stuff. It just takes me a moment, and I think it sounds pretty good. But can I sing? No.
It's just weird. And some of the most, you know, surprising people can sing. Like I've heard, you know, just go to karaoke sometime. It's amazing. You know, so it's just, it's crazy.
It really is. I mean, I think this is why, I mean, people like money, musicians, stuff like that. But even so, art is sexy.
Oh, art's great.
Art is just sexy as hell.
Yes, it is. This is quite a surprising story. Did you hear about the Louisiana judge? So there was a 44-year-old man that just got convicted of raping a girl back in 2003 when he was like 29 and she was 15. The judge said, here, we'll have you do 12 years in prison, and if you can only do 12 years in prison if you pay $150,000 of restitution to the victim to reduce the jail time. And they don't know. It was only going to work if the girl said yes, but she said, no, I want 1 year for every year that I've had to live with this, and that, you know, it took us to get this done. So it went away, but she said this experience was like a bad horror movie, and she thinks that, you know, this is very unusual, and, you know, we don't know what he thought of it, but it's not going to go because she didn't approve it. But, oh my God, what do you think of that?
Yeah, that's someone local just got like 50 hours of community service. I mean, it's just,
for what? For rape?
Yeah, I think so. It was in today's paper, yesterday's paper, something like that. I'm really hoping that as the years go by now, and we're beginning, more women are beginning to talk, that we're putting less emphasis on women's purity, and, you know, and there's a less double standard about women and sex, that the re-trauma, you know, someone will think of it as, I mean, it's a physical assault that is different than like just being beat up. But if you can take away the sexual shame of it, there might be less trauma over the decades if something has to happen. You know, it's going through there. And I say that in general too, because men who are assaulted have an enormous amount of shame that's attached to a sexual assault versus just being assaulted.
Yeah.
You know, but when you do shit like that, you trivialize.
Thank
you. That's
You're
not.
welcome.
That is not going to
okay.
come. Once I start to butcher a word, I'm not going anywhere near it.
I got your back.
It's going through that, and this is what happened. You know, that might be an option. Let's say 100 years from now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If something's at a shorter amount of time, and you really want to, and if money is going to hurt someone more than time, you know, you got to look at the individual cases. Yeah. But I don't think we're anywhere near where you can buy yourself out of your well, okay, that's what rich people do all the time. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but as a regular thing, no.
Well, the only thing the only auspice under which I would accept this is that maybe the judge was thinking that, you know, he does a significant chunk of time, which 12 years is, and the money would be toward, you know, therapy or, you know,
whatever she was unable to accomplish because of the trauma.
Exactly. That's only circumstances where I think it's okay, but it was a little shocking. She didn't like it, so it was up to her.
Yeah.
So moving on. Okay, we're going to finish with an awe story. This is a really good one. 21-year-old David Block stopped speaking at age 4. They discovered he had autism. He does speak a little. He'll speak in single words and only when he's really prompted, you know, and sometimes he'll go days without speaking at all. So one day, he just asked his first ever question. He looked at her and said, "Would someone like me?" And she was just like, oh my gosh, you know. So she went ahead and put it out on Twitter. She posted the question and it went viral. It racked up more than 72,000 likes, plus a ton of heartwarming responses. Rosie O'Donnell wrote in. People all over the world responded. And she said she's been reading every single message. And she would show him the responses, the little gifts, the pictures, everything. She says he hasn't said that much, but he would say pretty and nice, but he would smile. She said she's never seen him happier. And then she later posted a photo of him holding up a sign he wrote saying, "Thank you, friends, for liking me." And he, one of the responses was from the Jaguars, which was his favorite team. And he put up, "I love Jaguars." So they sent him like breakfast and all that. And she said, you know, a lot of people are saying that Twitter's evil, which it can be, but
it can't. Once again, it's how you curate it.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
It's what you make it. So I loved that.
Yeah, I mean, I know. It's, I've actually been having more fun with Instagram, just finding people that post fun stuff, especially you know. Just people that have good friends. I don't care if, like, my friends and I are very snarky to each other.
Oh yeah.
And so when I see like certain groups of, let's say, like of actors that are obviously friends giving each other shit, it's funnier than hell.
Yeah.
You know, it's going through there, and it's a nice little break from when shit breaks around here and I got to fix it.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure. Well, gosh, we're the next show, we're in the month of Christmas.
I do like me some Christmas. I was going through it. I'm not religious at all, but I like me some Christmas.
Well, it'll be fun. So, any final thoughts for today's GNS?
No, we've got. I'm just sort of updating some of the hours, but you know, Fantasy Gifts is closed on Thanksgiving, and we don't really do anything. You know, we're going to be open regular hours over that whole, you know, Black Friday and stuff like that. We close early on Christmas Eve at 5, close early on New Year's Eve at 8, and we're open regular hours on New Year's Day.
Okay. So, all right. Well, everybody, we will talk at you in another couple days. Happy sexing.